you like Starbucks, you're going to love our next guest. His name is Howard Behar. He has been involved with Starbucks for 21 years. He was founding president of Starbucks International and helped build it into a world leader. He's also now an author. His new book, The Magic Cup. Howard, welcome to Big 550 KTRS here in St. Louis.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
This is a fictionalized account of how you built Starbucks?
No, it's really nothing to do with Starbucks.
Okay.
It's a dream and a fable about leadership and about life. I mean, its context is the business world, but it's not about Starbucks.
And so you decided to take all the things you learned about working with people and being nice to people and turning it into a story?
Yeah, and expecting performance, too. It all goes together.
Shocking how if you treat people right and you expect things from them, they end up over-delivering.
It's amazing how that happens, isn't it?
Sometimes people think niceness is a sign of weakness, but that really cannot be the case when it comes to corporate world.
Nice is not a sign of weakness. You know, being nice, caring about people, and treating people with respect and dignity, that should be part of the package. You also have a right to expect performance, but people want to perform when you treat them well. You know, it's just automatic.
Have you always wanted to be a writer?
You know, if you'd asked my high school English teacher if I had ever written a book, she'd have just started laughing. You know, I barely got out of high school. I had a couple years of community college, so that was never my dream. But the idea of telling stories, that is something I've always enjoyed doing, and so that's what this is. It's just a story about what I believe in. Howard,
give us a story fictionalized in the book or a nonfiction story about Starbucks, because they are legendary in how they treat their employees. That is quote-unquote counterintuitive, but actually work to Starbucks' benefit.
You know, when I first started at Starbucks, this goes back to about 29 years ago. I was there a couple of months, and one of our store managers called and asked for a meeting with me and Howard Schultz, who is the CEO. And, you know, being the good executive that I thought I was, I said, well, can I help? And he said, no, I really need to talk to the two of you. And so I invited him in for a meeting, and he showed up the day of the meeting, and we went to sit down in Howard's office, and I'm fidgeting around, and he's making small talk. His name was Jim. And finally I said, so Jim, what do you want? And he looked at me and he looked at Howard, who he knew a lot better than he knew me, and he said, well, I want to tell you that I have AIDS and I am not going to live very long. Well, you know, of course you could have heard a pin drop in that room as Howard's looking at him, I'm looking at him. And this goes back a long time ago, so we didn't really know much about AIDS at the time. And I'm embarrassed to say I started to slide away a little bit, you know, not knowing what that meant. And Howard looked at him, he said, well, what can we do for you? And he said, well, I'd like to work as long as I could work. And Howard just looked at him and said, Jim, you can work as long as you want to work. And then he asked Jim a question. He said, so what are you going to do when you can't work? How are you going to support yourself? And Jim said, well, you know, there are agencies that are starting up that will help us and give us some money. And Howard just looked at him. He said, you know, Jim, you're ours. You're part of our family. We will pay you a monthly stipend as long as you're alive. And then Howard said the second thing, he said, how about your health care? And Jim said, well, the same answer, somebody would help him. And Howard said, absolutely not. You will be on our health care until you die. I knew right then I had joined the right company, because here was a company, it was a tiny company, we were losing money, we weren't public yet, and here the CEO, a young guy, was saying, hey, you belong to us, we're going to take care of you. And that to me is what life should be all about, not looking at the bottom line.
And what happened to the employee?
He died. Sorry to say that he passed away. It was before all the drugs were there to help.
Right. But it goes to show that I'm sure that story was told again and again, and people realized what a great company it was and went above and beyond the call of duty.
Yeah, everybody knew that story, and those stories, that's what drove the organization, because other people felt they could do the same thing.
Howard Behar is our guest. He was with Starbucks for years. He's now turned author. His new book, The Magic Cup. Look for it, bookstores everywhere. And can I find this in Starbucks as well?
Oh, I wish. Tell him to. Yeah, you go say, where's that book? Yeah, absolutely.
All right, good. Go into your Starbucks and ask for The Magic Cup by Howard Behar. Howard, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
7:57, Big 550 KTRS.